mentioned a little bit earlier about the anniversary of the death of Ashli Babbitt and how the comparison here really shows you the two-tiered system of justice. Well, it goes right to the heart of the Ashli Babbitt story. Ashli Babbitt's mother was just arrested. Ashli Babbitt's mother was in Washington, D.C. for the anniversary of her daughter's death at the hands of a trigger-happy Capitol Hill cop. And Ashli Babbitt's mother wanted to lay down some flowers for her daughter. And she was arrested.
It was our plan to go lay flowers on the steps of the Capitol for the 4 people, unarmed American citizens that lost their lives that day. That would be my daughter, Ashli Babbitt, Roseanne Boylan, who was beaten by a Metropolitan Police officer, Leland Morris, Kevin Greason, and Benjamin Phillips all lost their lives that day as unarmed American patriots. So we wanted to lay flowers on the steps of the Capitol. They were letting people in. They had it all barricaded off. They were letting people in, but they would not let us in with our signs and our flags. And so we opted to walk down the street that was already closed off. So we laid flowers on the east side. I'm not sure which side, but then when we went to go turn the corner, there was no sidewalk for us to walk on. There were other citizens walking on that sidewalk, but we were not allowed to because we had American flags at the United States Capitol. So we walked down the road because we had no sidewalk to walk on, and our option was to cross 4 lanes of traffic and walk on the other side, where I also would not have been able to honor my daughter by laying a rose for her around the Capitol building. And so we walked down the road, and I was arrested aggressively by that man right there. Yeah, the one right there, the tall, bald man.
What was this woman arrested for? Jaywalking? Basically for jaywalking. I think the actual charge was that she was arrested for blocking and obstructing roadways because she walked into some areas where they had some impediments set up and she wasn't supposed to be walking there. Blocking and obstructing roadways. Black Lives Matter shut down highways in LA, Seattle, Massachusetts, Washington, D.C., all over the country. I was in multiple places during the BLM madness as the BLM movement shut down those freeways and highways for hours in some cases, totally blocking traffic. Nobody did anything about it. And this woman, grieving the killing of her daughter, wants to lay a rose at the people's house at the Capitol, and she's not allowed to. She gets arrested for doing that. She says that the cops, they knew this was a bad group of people. Why? Because they were waving American flags. Had the group been waving pride flags, BLM flags, any of those other anarchist flags, Che Guevara flags, you know the cops would not have done a damn thing to obstruct them. Because those people, they would have been left-wingers. They would have been on the same side as our current regime. But because Ashli Babbitt's mother and the protesters were waving an American flag, the cops saw that. They said, oh, this is a threat. Can you imagine how far has our country fallen? That these cops, they see an American flag, they say, that's a symbol of a threat. We've got to go arrest this woman. She shouldn't be laying down a rose for her daughter at the Capitol. Our regime affords greater protection to people who burn the American flag than it does to people who wave the American flag. That's not hyperbole. We all know that that is the case. If you burn the American flag, well, you're probably just an aggrieved victim of this terrible, awful society, this traditional American country that we're doing our best to get rid of as quickly as possible. But if you wave the American flag, why, you're probably one of those far-right extremists. We live under a regime today. When I say regime, it's unusual language because we usually only refer to political systems in other places as regimes. We never refer to our own country as a regime. It's only those other places where they have governments that we don't like. That's always the regime. But a regime just means a political order. And so our political order obviously has transformed pretty significantly over the last 50, 60 years, certainly over the last 200 years. We are not living in the political order of the founding fathers and the framers. Our system of government does not work like the bill up on Capitol Hill in Schoolhouse Rock, right? We live in a very different one. And we live in one today where the Department of Justice refers to parents who don't want their kids to have their genitals chopped off and have their kids be told that they're evil because they're white, refers to those parents as domestic terrorists. That's the system that we're living in. We're living under a regime where we are told that people who burn down courthouses, or people who murder dozens of people over the course of months, or people who threaten to assassinate top conservative public officials, they're all referred to as mostly peaceful protesters. But the guy in the horn hat and the smiley Florida guy who took a picture posing with Nancy Pelosi's lectern, those are insurrectionist terrorists, the greatest threat to our country. That's the regime we're living in, okay? And I'm not whining about it. I'm not screaming and crying. I'm just telling you that's how it is. And so when these court decisions come down, and if you throw a can at Ted Cruz's head, basically the liberal establishment just laughs it off. Where a mother grieving the loss of her daughter wants to lay a rose at the Capitol and the cops arrest her for it. No, you're one of the bad ones. You're one of those conservative ones. We're going to throw you in the squad car. Why? I don't know. We don't like the cut of your jib. You looked at us funny. You get in the car. Just don't be surprised. That's the way that it is. And it ties right back to the top of what we're talking about. When a handful of conservatives, those intransigent conservatives, say, hey, we need a little bit more change in Washington, D.C. than just getting another tax cut bill through. When a group of conservatives say, we need structural, serious change to the way power is wielded in this country and the way that we view good and bad and true and false and the things that we exalt and the things that we discourage. We need to kind of change that because it's gotten a little bit askew. I don't think that those conservatives are the bad guys. I think they are doing the most that they can do and the very bare minimum of what needs to be done. And I don't think that anyone should attack them for it because it took us 3 more days to get Kevin McCarthy into the speaker suite, which he already moved into in the first place, by the way. He already moved in there before he even won the vote, okay? The rest of the show continues now. You do not want to miss it. Become a member and use code Knowles, KNWLES at checkout for 2 months free on all of the annual plans. We will see you at the member block.